But right now, I want to go live to Law and Crime's very own Elizabeth Milner, who is outside of the federal courthouse, was inside that court for when Cassandra Ventura was testifying. Elizabeth, it's great to see you. I know you have to jump back into court quite quickly. So let's first start off with Ventura. She takes the stand. How did she appear? What are some of the highlights of her testimony? And most importantly, how is the jury responding to her testimony?
Hollywood's most shocking courtroom drama is unfolding before our eyes. P. Diddy, once the king of the music empire, is now caught in a whirlwind of accusations as his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura reveals chilling details in her testimony. But that's not all. Jay-Z, known for his powerful moves, steps into the legal battle, while 50 Cent sharpens his claws. With the storm only intensifying, we're here to break it all down for you. Stay tuned as we uncover the truth. Cassandra Ventura, also known as Cassie, takes the stand, ready to tell her side of the story. A mother-to-be, Cassie walks into the courtroom with quiet strength. In front of the jury, she describes a moment that forever changed her life, the so-called freak off. This horrifying event, filled with violence, would go on to shape her relationship with Diddy, and today, she is finally ready to reveal.
Children on one side, his family on one side. You have Diddy, who was looking at Cassie as the moment that she walked inside that courtroom today. She was wearing a long brown dress. She is very, very much so, appears to be in her third trimester of her pregnancy. And so she kind of walked very quietly and very slowly up to the witness stand, took the, swore the oath and that type of sort, and then sat down for the prosecution's questioning. And as far as who her support was inside that courtroom, that included her brother, what we presume to be her mother, as well as even her husband, Alex Fine. And he was kind of the topic of some of these arguments outside of the presence of the jury, mainly about just some testimony that they're expected to happen, especially later on today or even possibly tomorrow.
It all as Cassie speaks. The courtroom listens closely. She reveals shocking details about the freak-off, confirming that it was a brutal and violent event. These details aren't just allegations. They're the painful truth she lived through. From Diddy's constant surveillance to the control he had over every part of her life, Cassie paints a picture of an emotionally and physically abusive relationship.
They're seeing, just from her side of the view, just kind of her relationship with Diddy. Much of the testimony was very foundational. When did she meet Diddy? How long before, the two engaged in sexual intercourse? As well as, she was briefly asked about the CNN video, and she did confirm that she was leaving a freak off when the vicious beating kind of happened. As far as just some other big highlights, we were shown a lot of photos of her and Sean, as she refers to him in court, as well as her friends. We saw a photo of him being Diddy, Kim Porter, another friend, and Cassie all at the 2006 BET Awards. We saw a photo of Diddy with Cassie, another friend, and another potential witness to this case, all sitting on a couch. We had seen photos of their trip to Miami. We saw photos of them at a strip club together here in New York City in 2007. For Halloween, she had spoken about just, her time working as an artist for Bad Boy, and just that pretty much, some of these allegations she had talked about in her lawsuit, but also that Diddy controlled a lot of aspects of her recording career. She signed it.
While Cassie's emotional testimony takes center stage, the legal battle is far from one-sided. Enter Jay-Z, who has been pulled into the fray, not by his own choice, but by association. His name now sits alongside Diddy's in the legal documents, and Jay-Z isn't having any of it. In a bold move, Jay-Z's legal team strikes back with a scathing response to the accusations, refusing to settle. Jay-Z isn't just defending his reputation, he's fighting to clear his name amidst a storm of controversy.
2 years since she had filed her lawsuit at this point, that we kind of got to see her explain her own view from her own mouth, as opposed to us seeing these allegations in lawsuits and that type of sort.
So I have two questions for you. One, how is the jury responding to her testimony and more of the graphic points of her testimony? But also, what was Diddy doing? What was Sean Combs doing? Was he looking at her? Was she looking at him at any points? So again, what was the jury's reaction, and what was the reaction between Diddy and Cassie?
Well, let me tell you, it was a very packed courtroom, so it was really hard to kind of see all the jurors and their faces. But from the little view that I got of just seeing these jurors, they were listening intently like they have been even since yesterday, taking notes, kind of watching back and forth, both, you know, the prosecution asked their questions and then going over and kind of looking at the witness, that being Cassie, while on the stand. Now, as far as Diddy goes, he was watching very intently. Like, let me tell you something. He is very much so participating in his defense. He is jotting notes down. He's passing these notes because we do know when the cross-examination comes down, it's going to be Ana Maria Esteval who's going to be doing that line of questioning once the defense gets.
Across town, another player is stirring the pot. 50 Cent, Diddy's longtime nemesis, sees Diddy's legal troubles as an opportunity to strike. The years of rivalry between the two moguls are well documented, but with Diddy's empire on the verge of collapse, 50 Cent's response is more than just trolling. It's a calculated move to assert his dominance.
Going to have to talk about these tapes. She's going to have to view these tapes. What was the discussion earlier this morning regarding the tapes, how a witness will be questioned about the tapes, and whether or not anybody in the gallery will ultimately see them?
Yeah, so there was a lot of concerns about these exhibits, mainly more so, I guess, from us on the press ends portion, you know, just seeing that these photos were sexually explicit and very graphic in nature. The government planned to show some of these images because they, according to the government, were 6 still images. They were nude images of victims that were sexually explicit, but the government kind of came up with a solution that, you know, they would provide headphones to the jurors so that way, you know, we wouldn't hear any type of audio of, you know, these exhibits that were going to be portrayed. The government wanted to keep this material out of public record. The defense, meanwhile, says it's pretty much adult pornography. And so that's when we kind of started connecting the dots that these were, you know, videos and images of, you know, these freak-offs that the government is kind of talking about that's central to their case. The defense says it's a privacy issue, and they question what us in the press would pretty much do with these types of images. And you know what? We have a right to kind of talk about them, especially not in a salacious manner or anything like that. I don't think that was any of our intents on, you know, being in the courtroom while these images were played or anything like that. But apparently it seems like, you know, a point for the defense that, you know, they were just wondering what the press would do about it, especially with so many.
As Diddy faces mounting allegations, 50 Cent continues to exploit the situation. From his public statements mocking Diddy's vodka brand to his strategic moves to poach Diddy's own promoters, 50 Cent sees every moment as an opportunity to strike, adding fuel to the already burning feud.
Asked to describe what's happening. She's going to be asked to identify people who are in that video. She's going to be asked to, identify the prostitutes, right? Because that's a big part of this case. So who is paid to be there in these videos? And she's almost going to have to do like a play-by-play, and it's incredibly uncomfortable. I don't know how she's going to deal with it.
I think the most significant parts of the tapes are if you see or hear Sean Combs directing her,
right,
and particularly in a aggressive manner to take certain steps or actions, that will go towards sex trafficking.
Yeah, and she's probably been through these tapes. I mean, they've taken her through them many times to prepare for the trial, to go over, to get the case ready, to figure out who everybody is. So it's a little different when you get on a witness stand and do it in front of a jury, but it's not the first time she's looked.
As Diddy's empire begins to unravel, 50 Cent isn't the only one circling. The media, the public, and even Diddy's inner circle are watching closely. Will Diddy survive this legal and public relations nightmare, or will he be forced to step down? With lawsuits piling up and more shocking revelations on the way, the future of his brand, Revolt, is uncertain.
There are celebrities that are, well, let me rephrase. In the lead up to this trial, during the jury selection process, there was a people and places list, right? Does the jury know any of these people and places? There were some celebrity names on there. Doesn't mean they're in the tapes, doesn't mean they're part of relevant evidence, but will the prosecution subpoena celebrities in this trial?
Yeah, I don't know. That goes back to the discussion we were having. Is it actually in the prosecution's favor to drag other celebrities into this and make it maybe seem like a Hollywood thing? If they had certain people who had important testimony to give and were willing to cooperate and do it, then they might want to put it on, but I don't know if that's happening.
Question from Rachel Wilson. If people outside the courthouse admit they're trying to influence the jury, not just protesting, could they be held accountable?
Cent knows Diddy's weakness, and he's not letting up. His comments on social media about Diddy's financial struggles aren't just insults, they're calculated moves. Is 50 Cent trying to push Diddy into a financial collapse, or is he positioning himself for a bigger play? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The battle between these two moguls is far from over. As this saga continues to unfold, the question remains, what will happen to Diddy's empire? Will he survive these allegations, or is this the beginning of the end for the music mogul? With Jay-Z, 50 Cent, and the public all involved, the future of this case is uncertain. But one thing is clear, the truth is coming out, and nothing will ever be the same.